I've been thinking about openings, hey, appropriately enough. Oh God, here he goes. I've been thinking about openings because I recently started reading the first Dark Materials book I've forgotten the name of. Northern Lights. I started reading Northern Lights. And it's got a very good opening sentence that really brings you into the world. And it's just had me thinking about what makes a good start and what, doesn't. And the other day I was today in fact, I was walking through the Barbican area of London, which is a very high-tech sort of flashy place, and there was a guy there who was very incongruous. He was in a tracksuit, kind of grey, and he looked a bit like Nico Bellic from Grand Theft Auto 4. And he picked up, he was on his phone, he answered his phone, and all he said was, "Yeah, I'm going there now." Well, what do you want me to say to him? And that's all I heard, but I just thought, that's a pretty good opening.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, what do we know about this guy now? We know that he's on his way, he's going somewhere, he doesn't really want to, and something's got to be said.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cinematic opening, I think. With a novel, you'd have to mention how sweaty he was as well.
You'd have to mention the moistness of the man.
of his enclaves.
Are we wanting this film to star Arnold Schwarzenegger, or are they going to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, shit. It's Arnie.
What do you want me to tell him?
What the fuck can I tell him? You tell him.
Or it's the opposite, What do you want me to tell him?
What do you want me to tell him?
Do you want me to tell him?
What can you pronounce?
What words can I say?
What literally can you tell him?
Not what words am I allowed to say. What can I say? Is it going to be 50
what can I
fucking...
say? Seriously.
Is it going to be 50 fucking Greek names that I have no chance of learning?
That will engage in zoological talk about male and female animals. I'm Paul Buck.
I'm superior to Hercules.
It's back into recommendations month, and one of the OG team has had the audacity to stand before Olympus and deliver his recommendation in person. Speak your name and your land, daft stranger. The land of bearded babies.
Sean Strang. I come from 3 hours of sleep, and after rereading the first 5 chapters of Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography.
What a journey, what an odyssey. An Iliad in and of itself.
Good to be here. I'm absolutely glad to be here. Let's fucking get the show on the road.
Yes, Sean has brought a mighty offering to the pools this week. It's 1969 or 1970s Hercules in New York.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Magnificent as Hercules. The story begins quietly enough. High atop fabled Mount Olympus, Hercules annoys Zeus just once too often with his need for adventure.
I'm tired of the same old faces, the same old things.
Whoa.
Directed by Arthur Allen Cederman. The film is notable for being the first film performance of the then 22-year-old Arnold Strong, also known as Mr. Universe, also known as Mr. Schwarzenegger.
Mr. Strongiverse.
Mr. Strongenegger.
Damn, 22. Doesn't look it.
No.
Yeah, what were you doing at 22?
Nothing as noble as this.
This, but off mic.
I was living this. I was living that fighting a bear.
fighting a man in a bear suit.
Oh, yes,
unwillingly.
Spoilers.
Oh god, the film was received by critics like a bit of awning passing for a lightning bolt. In a slightly ambiguous review, Tim Brayton, writing for Alternate Ending in 2014. Yeah, sometimes it takes me a while to get around to reviewing a film too. Just sitting in front of the laptop. Sometimes 40 years can slip by. 50? 60? 50. There's a fearless madness at play here. 40. How long has it been?
Since
Since the review or since the movie?
Since the movie, 1970.
Since the movie,
50.
it is officially the 50th anniversary of this film.
Wow. Does that put Arnie in his 70s?
Yeah, we are smack bang in the middle of between the New York release and the American release of the 50th anniversary. This is a celebration, Pauls.
I'm glad New York got it before America. I always felt that they...
Yeah, they separated.
Yeah. Back before, when it was, there were only 49 states and New York. There's a fearless madness at play here, and it makes Hercules in New York a magnetic experience, far beyond the joy of watching a future celebrity humiliate himself, which is a joy, and beyond simply laughing at the overwhelming awfulness of it.
Okay.
It's definitely overwhelming.
Lots to think about there. Is it just that it's overwhelmingly awful, or is there something even more to it than that?
Dare to dream.
Well, I like that he feels more at home to laugh at this man later in his career. It's like, no, I'll let you build up some credit, then I'm going to laugh my fucking face off.
Let's wait till Terminator Genesis to really laugh at this man. Let him make some mistakes first.
You wait until somebody's built up enough of a reputation to withstand your ire. So
yeah, otherwise you're just laughing at a tender, sweet, innocent, muscular
Mr.
Austrian
Universe.
man in his 20s. Yeah.
And I don't want to come off as a dick.
Oh, Christ. The public, meanwhile, reacted to it like a bear at a picnic. R. Horton at Amazon.uk says, awful. Arnie's acting is so wooden, he should have considered becoming a lumberjack. What?
Oh.
Lumberjacks.
Do you think lumberjacks are made of wood?
Yeah. Exclusively.
It must be a really grim existence for them, felling their own kind.
Or is minimal acting ability needed for lumberjacking? I'm not sure where this is going.
He's so bad at acting, he's like a lumberjack.
All failed actors become lumberjacks, so I can attest to this.
There's just one day you go into Kmart and buy your flannel shirt.
I got 5, mate.
That you have to wear. There you go, Mr. Neo. Yeah, thanks. Bernie, who is a top 500 reviewer,
Wow.
over at Amazon.com, says, Hercules is bored with Olympus after centuries of the same old faces. He takes a sojourn to New York against his father's wishes. Hercules does not count on culture clash and loose animals. Brackets, wild zoo bear.
Okay.
Will his Zeus send someone to New York to retrieve his son? Or will he be influenced by a wild hero?
I don't know.
Will his Zeus send one to save his son?
We don't need to run down the plot. I think that pretty much covers it.
That's the whole thing. I know what happened now. I'm very excited to announce we have a two-man. Tony Mr. World Carroll, who played Monstro in this.
Oh,
Okay.
the Magnificent, thank you very much.
Monstro the Magnificent was in Masters of the Universe as Beast Man.
Oh,
Holy
no.
The Beast Man.
Cheese thief. Returns.
Fucking Cheese Dave is back for all of us to fear.
Oh,
I'm glad Dave's back.
Clark with him.
Clark. Oh, Christ. The film has 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, 23 on Metacritic, and a 3.3 on IMDb, appearing on the bottom 100 list at number 56.
Ooh.
And a 5 out of 5 in our hearts.
Sean, you mortal man.
Yes, sir. Forgot that was my cue to come in. Cheers.
What's one thing about Hercules in New York that made you want to disobey the orders of mighty Zeus and Hera?
See, I've been listening to you guys for 2 years, and I'm still wildly unclear about what that question asks.
How come we're doing this?
Yeah, it's great. Look, I will say this much. I brought you this film for a very specific reason. And that is because I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is the most fascinating man on the goddamn planet.
He is unique, isn't he? He's a one.
I've read his book, and I've read the first 10 chapters about 3 times and then stopped. I've never gotten past the kind of Terminator 2 phase. So I'm more familiar with this movie just from how he came into it than anything else.
Wow, interesting.
And I'm just fascinated by
Does he talk about Lou Ferrigno at all in the autobiography?
Oh, yeah. He talks about how much he fucks with him.
Yeah.
Outright.
What a prick he was.
Just like, I would just look at him and I would just say, oh, is that the pose you're going for? And then he'd look very worried. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to win then.
I love having actors on the show. This is very, very good impressions.
I gotta say, the reason I chose this film is the same. Like they won me over by the same reason they won the producers over. Is that there was going to be someone that was originally cast for it, and instead of that, Arnie's producer basically Arnie's agent rung up the producers and said, "This guy, I've got another guy. He was an Austrian Shakespearean actor."
Is that what happened? Because I heard that I read that they said, oh yeah, Arnie has stage experience, not realizing that what they meant was like bodybuilder stage. Like not an acting stage. A stage where you go and flex.
Yeah, you will get the best bodybuilder in the world. Schwarzenegger is your guy. He is extraordinary. His stage presence is outstanding.
Fuck yeah. Horny as hell. God.
That's very, very good.
Well, that sounds horny as hella. So, what happens in Hercules in New York.
Oh, fuck me.
We open on a park in Queens.
Olympus, Bronx.
Olympus Central Park.
Olympus Gardens. Retirement home.
Fuck me.
What's going on? Arnie's there? He's just there. It's just shot pan there.
Everyone's there, and Arnie's bored after centuries of doing apparently nothing, just walking around.
But you wouldn't like it down there.
Let me be the judge of that. I am tired of the same old faces, the same old things.
Tired or not, you're staying here.
What do they do there?
Yeah, what have they done there for literal millennia?
I think Zeus just fashions
just
his
stuff.
kind of like wire hanger thunderbolts.
Can't have too many of these.
From the scene, it suggests that they've spent millennia of walking around in Zeus's entourage. He's got an entourage. He's with
They
Jeremy
just walk
Piven.
around flexing.
Yeah.
Christ.
Dun, 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 dun. Or in fact, to the Zorba the Greek music.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is we actually get some bouzouki music in this, which I don't think I've ever heard in relation to the Greek gods before. It seems obvious now we're saying it out loud, but I've never... it's mysteriously absent from Jason and the Argonauts.
What's
Different era. It's like Oasis and the Rolling Stones, completely different.
It's like using Oasis to score King Arthur.
I mean, it's not
English.
absent in this film. This is the soundtrack that you're going to hear for every emotional moment and action moment and dramatic moment and comedic moment.
It's definitely soundtrack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Singular.
It is a score. Oh god. Well, the credits come up, and the special thanks credit is super classy. The Villager for Miss Loomis's apparel, Christian Dior for Miss Elg's apparel, and Greek Sandals by Bernando's, the children's charity. But anyway, it's really classy. It makes me feel like I'm watching Belle de Jour or something.
Or something.
Or something.
Yeah, so
But I mean,
Arnie is bored, and it's time for... That was Scottish, but he doesn't know.
He's bored, and he's quite rude as well.
Hercules is only hot-headed. He does not mean to oppose your wishes.
Mind your own business, Venus.
He's very rude, actually.
Shut up, Venus.
yeah, he's a right dick straight away. Like, I understand his desire to want to go out and see new things, but Arnold's lack of acting just makes him come up as a colossal asshole.
Do as I say. I will not. Oh, I don't like that.
Insolence.
I don't want to hear any more about this. So I can go? No.
I will discuss this no further.
Does this mean I have Zeus's permission to leave?
It means you will stay.
What part of what I said made you think that?
Oh, good. I see you later.
No, come back. Don't you do... Always does that.
I'm going to do something about this eventually.
He ends up in the ocean. Oh no, he banishes him first by throwing a lightning thing at him.
That's right. He drops naked to the earth, surprising Donald Duck on his way down. He's in a plane.
I just saw a man.
Yes, my dear, that's not unusual. There are men on this airplane.
No, outside. He was flying.
Outside?
Yes, he just passed my window.
Oh, she's my favorite actor in the entire film.
She was amazing.
I want to follow her career.
Then I thought, are we watching Airplane?
Yeah.
Was this just a weird intro to Airplane 3?
I thought, this is meant to actually be a comedy. This is meant to be a comedy.
I hate to say it, but I think that was a correct assessment.
Yeah.
I can't remember why this interaction happens now, but there's something where the women are like, save him, Zeus. He'll be fine. Save him, Zeus. Okay.
He's in the sea now. He will drown.
Save him, great Zeus!
It will take more than Neptune or any of his creatures to overcome a son of Zeus.
Save him, Zeus! Save Hercules!
All right, all right.
Yeah, because he
But then he doesn't, anyway.
he fell into the water, and then he
that
can't
was
swim.
it.
If you're not Poseidon, you can't swim.
So
That's how God works.
Zeus sends a boat?
I guess.
Yeah,
A boat of guys, and they pick him
A boat
up,
of dudes.
and
they born identity.
they have the interaction of, hey, while you're on the ship, you've got to do something. I am Hercules. Okay. Guess we better fight then.
I love them just saying to him, like, so, where you from? And he's like Olympus or something. Ah, you're Greek. Yeah, I'm Greek. I'm a Greek man.
And also, you say fight, or do you mean just grab them by the shoulders and throw them around 10,000 times? Like it's Arnold's singular attack.
The fight choreography in this movie, top notch.
Oh, it's button mashing at its finest.
To Yakety Sax plays, and Arnie chases people around and throws them into the water, and then Zorba the Greek plays, and he does it to some more people.
At which point he meets an elderly stereotype who offers Arnie a pocket pretzel that he's got. Serves straight from the pocket.
Aww.
I have to say,
Pretzy.
though, it's worth pointing out that the first 20, as soon as Hercules comes down to Earth, the first 10 minutes of this film plays in pretty much the same way as The Bourne Identity.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Very similar films.
Oh god, that's just made me think of The Bourne Identity with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It will come back. No, it won't come back!
No, it will not.
It's not coming back!
No, it won't. Stop telling me it will come back. It won't.
You're incorrect in your assessment.
Now, I know this is a plot synopsis, but I just need to quickly ask, who the fuck is Pretzy? That's all. That's the only question I need to ask.
I sell pretzels on the waterfront there. Yeah. Where you from?
Greece.
Oh, I used to know a Greek guy. He ran a beanery down in the village. His name was Apollo. I never found out what his second name was.
I know Apollo.
You do? Well, it's just a small world. You know Apollo. Gee. I wonder where Apollo is now. I ain't seen him maybe 2-3 years.
He's back home.
He went home, huh? Yeah, well, he was all the time talking about how homesick he was. So he finally went home, huh? Gee, he was a real nice guy, Apollo.
Conceited. He thinks there's nobody handsome in the world.
Handsome? Apollo?
Who is this man?
I don't know, he's just a fucking dude hanging out by the docks looking for friends, as we have all done.
Look, I mean, I guess if it's a nice comment on kind of the state of our elderly and how they need companionship and need friendship and how they can't find a job well into their later years, fine. I'll roll with it.
But
I still have a lot of questions.
Or it's just a commentary on, New York. You go to New York, you're going to have a tussle with some sailors pretty early on, but then you're going to meet some real stereotypical character. And that's going to open the whole world for you. You're going to become best friends more so than with your love interest.
It is the friendship of all cinema. I think it's better than anything else I've ever seen. Basically, is what I mean. And they get into some japes, don't they? They
go
take
to a
cab.
park.
Arnie takes a pigeon's bite of a pretzel so as not to increase his body fat mass, and they end up in Central Park, which is like cottage.
They end up
cottage.
there.
I can't remember quite how he pronounces that.
Biggest in Rome. Biggest in cottage.
Oh fuck! He sees some people doing some athletics.
Javelin, discus.
Some discus. So he's going to go over.
Greek discus.
He awkwardly picks up a discus that was just sat in front of two guys who were stood around it, and they yell, "Put that discus down!" Well, it's just there on the floor. That's where we keep it.
You weren't using it.
Yeah. He says that he can lob it really far, and that many people have benefited from my instruction, and he lobs it really far. Apparently, we're told.
Yes.
I can show you how to throw.
It uses camera trickery to show them all being really impressed by it, but it doesn't show us how far it actually goes.
Exactly, and they do him jumping, and they show him taking off and then landing, but don't have an establishing shot to demonstrate how far that supposedly was.
Oh,
so we
Paul,
just cut to people looking impressed.
The idea, I laugh at you suggesting there are establishing shots in this film. we don't establish things. We just go from thing to thing. Like there was no bigger crime in that baseball scene as I had no freaking clue where everyone was looking.
Jesus.
Where everyone was in relation to each other. It's just bonkers.
It was madness. And it just, every so often it cuts to a pipe-smoking man and his hot daughter in the crowd.
Yeah.
Just, God knows. He was just there. The pipe-smoking man is, the father of the hot woman. His wife, dead 20 years. Not going to hear about her. She's out of here.
Yeah.
They come over to Pretzy and say, Pretzel-ee, and say there, do you own that muscular man? Bring him round for dinner. Are you offering me heroin? No. Just bring that man over for dinner. I'd like to breed him with my daughter.
Have tea with my daughter and me. Not so loud. You never know when one of them narcotics cops is around.
Tea, the conventional social drink.
You mean the drinking stuff?
Of course, what else?
Wait a minute, you mean you want to get together just to drink tea?
Is tea a word for heroin or any sort of drug?
Yeah, what the fuck? I haven't been offered anything like that since the army. What?
You guys continue talking about whatever it is you're talking about. I'm going to look up tea and heroin.
Yeah, please do. I need that in your search history for starters, but also, like, how has this man not ever been invited to tea before? I feel very bad for him.
Oh, poor old man, you're
Or
right.
is he
This is an Age UK advert. This is a really grim vision of old age.
Or has he just been invited to heroin meets far too often and just thinks everything is a heroin meet?
Come round for tea, Pretzi. Oh, I don't want to, but I want to.
Not again.
I hope I don't go, but we all know I will. So he goes round. He and Pretzi go round for dinner. And there's some young chap there who's a friend.
Who is he?
Of,
Do we ever establish who he is?
No, he's just a friend of the hot chick. And he calls Arnold Schwarzenegger calls him handsome. And he's like, I'm not having that. Take this. And he tries to beat him up.
Oh, Christ.
Unsuccessful. And then Arnie awkwardly holds the man for a while whilst people yell at him.
For a solid minute.
Until he presumably leaves.
What was the next scene for you after this? It's a very important question for me.
I think the next scene was them at breakfast the next morning.
Yes.
And,
okay.
Yes.
Good.
And we don't get any indication that Arnie left or anything. He might be still in the next room.
Or was it just 30 minutes later? He left and then they sat down.
It's hard to say, because this is the point that Nell and I looked at each other and I furiously started to Google whether or not there was a crazily edited 75-minute version.
Nope, yes, there is. It's just that is also the only version.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's good. I thought maybe this was going to be a surprise and that you'd watch the proper version and I'd somehow watch some crazy version where they actually showed the scenes of Arnie and the daughter getting to know each other.
Well, no, the next scene that happens is they say, oh, what do you think about that man we had for dinner? Well, he beat up Rod Nelson. True, but I hate Rod Nelson. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, he's great.
I hate him too. I'm going to date him. Great. Good. Yeah. That's a good outcome for everyone. Fuck Rod Nelson.
Which is a wildly hard turn.
Come to the end of the date because she's like, hey, thanks for the date. No, movie. I want to see this fucking date that they just had. Go back.
Yes. Arnold has no money. How did he get A, the suit, B, the chariot, anything that a date requires?
I mean, I know how that would have happened. He'd have gone to the store and said, I need a suit. And they said, are you joking? I am Hercules. And then he'd have picked him up and bent the man into the shape of a suit and then worn him. And that would have happened for everything that he needed on that date. And we were robbed of that. Surely. Because they saw those scenes and went, these aren't going to work. No one's going to believe this.
We can't have this going over 80 minutes,
surely
guys.
The cops... How have the cops not been called by this point? They have, but the same thing happens. I'm Hercules. Oh, okay then.
I recognize no police. So... Oh, fuck. I mean, the next thing that happens is they hear over the radio that a guy in a bear costume has escaped from the zoo. And so he wrestles him for a bit.
Yeah.
With no consequence.
Hugs him, wrestles him, and then begins punching the living shit out of a downed bear.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. Until the woman comes in and leads him off, crying and swearing. And,
it's a very uncomfortable scene, by the way. Like, between her absolute shrieks with interjecting it every now and then with a get him.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just interjaping. I'm going to use that word from now on.
Interjaping.
And then he's just really it goes from hilarious to uncomfortable very quick as he just keeps punching the bear.
Great night out.
I think you really should keep kicking a bear once it's down because you don't know if it's going to get up again.
Fair.
You can't take that risk.
Never stop kicking a downed bear. It's an old Russian expression that I really took to heart. And I feel the Russians have too, based on their political history for the last 20 years. Take that, Putin.
20.
So
it went wrong after Stalin. But only after Stalin.
Only after Stalin. So at this stage, at some point he ends up wrestling because they run into trouble when Bob Hoskins shows up in order to intimidate Stereotype Man, Pretzi, I should say, into sort of letting him manage Arnie.
I guess.
Yeah, because he's had a fight at this stage.
He's had a fight.
We don't get to see the fight.
No, we don't see the fight. God, that would be dull.
And
it's not against a bear, man.
But it's professional wrestling too. So it's the mob have gotten into fake wrestling, which I love that's where they're putting their money.
They're fixing the fake fights.
Like that, but they're not aware of it. Like, we put a lot of money on this guy to win. He's booked to lose, right? What?
if you read the script. We get some sequences of Arnie and the girl dating, in which she reacts to him very much like I would react to an incomprehensible but muscular stranger.
Once a strangling to see up into my cradle.
Oh.
Just kind of, yeah, okay. Oh, great.
Sure.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
I think something's very terribly... He's very mentally ill, but I think I'm okay with this. Let's just roll with it.
Yeah, he's a violent and incomprehensible stranger, but I'm kind of into it.
Shocked even myself.
Oh, women.
Oh, God. So Zeus is angry at this stage, so he mightily knocks over a small bench. And he yells out, "Nemesis, come here!" By which I mean, wife, go and find Nemesis and relay the following message. He's going to have Nemesis go and take Arnie to Pluto's planet. Because he's got a planet, right?
That's right.
The underworld. And they're going to stay there for, what is it, 200 years?
100 years.
100 years, yeah. But Zeus's wife is pissed at Hercules, and so decides that instead he should have his powers taken away.
Oh.
I think. And I think Nemesis says to him, but he is so strong and mighty, they might make him a king, or at least governor of one of the weirdest states.
You know the one I mean.
You know the ones.
The emancipated state of New York.
So Nemesis goes and visits Nigel Havers, who is Pluto, to request that he do some vague stuff. And Havers is awkward for a bit. And then he places a large bet against Hercules on, I guess the bet he places is, I want to bet against Hercules on whatever he does next.
Yeah.
Because it's only after this that Monstro shows up.
Did he go and chat to Monstro?
Whatever the next contest is, I vote against Hercules. He's taking part in an egg and spoon race with for charity. Maybe the one after that.
Yeah.
He's meeting the Queen. I mean, I don't specifically what I can bet on there, but
is he gonna punch the Queen?
I reckon that Hercules will win.
Take the Queen.
Shit, the Queen was a surprise at the end.
So Nemesis, or one of them, I really don't know or care, puts a little drug, does a little druggy wuggy in Arnold's
spikes his fucking drink.
Long Island iced tea. But Arnold has no strength, and he has less strength than he did.
He's not going to find that out until his next professional, because he doesn't train at all. He doesn't feel weird when he fails to rip in half the phone book that he does every morning. So, he goes up against Monstro, and the two of them pick up the same weight 3 times. But it's harder each time, apparently, we're told.
Magic.
So Hercules fails. Oh, no.
What
So I
joke.
guess now Nigel Havers has all the money, I guess. We're not going to see him again, so...
Yeah. I mean, why would you?
Well, why would you? He's out of the film.
Yeah.
It's finished.
That's his bit done.
Also, I'm just going to say, being able to clean and jerk, what did they get to? I mean, he got to 750 pounds, which is fucking insanity.
Oh, yeah, the world record is like 490 something, I think.
Yeah.
It's 200, I think it's like 250 kilos, something like that. I don't know how to that's still only like 500 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean,
and Monstro's not a god. He's just a beast
No.
man.
There's a lot of problematic issues in this film, Paul, and we need to work through them one by one.
Well, the next thing that happens, I think, is a chase. And you're going to have to help me here because I don't know what's going on in this chase. Is it that the girl and the stereotype are trying to lure the gangsters away, but then Hercules and also the stereotype because they forgot he was in the first car? No, who's Hercules in the car?
The girl is trying to Pretzi and Arnold in the chariot.
Okay.
He steals someone's chariot, someone's New York chariot.
And they're chasing Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, and there's a very good shot of Arnie leaning over a chariot, whipping a man in a car, and which was not part of the script. So this would be good.
Cut out of nowhere.
And who's the old man who tries to jump onto the chariot and apparently soars through the air?
Oh, that was one of the that was just one of the mobsters.
Oh, I see.
It's an amazing chase because it's love interest and father followed by various New York mobsters.
He's the one I'm forgetting.
I've noticed, Paul, sorry to interrupt you, Sean, for a second, that you've had a tough time, Paul, distinguishing between old people in this movie.
It's just a one entity. I don't think so. I've got Nigel Havers, Bob Hoskins, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the ancient being.
The 22-year-old infinite.
I think this film's aimed at Paul.
Yeah, clearly. Well, anyway, yes. Sean, continue with this dissection of the scene. It was useful.
Please.
I was just trying to work it out because it's mother and daughter. It's father and daughter, followed by Arnold and fucking Pretzi. No, followed by the mobsters, followed by Arnie and Pretzi, followed by chariot vendor, followed by hot dog man who's trying to just put some sauerkraut onto the hot dog.
Yes, I forgot about that aspect of this.
Oh, Christ.
Fucking hell. Well, they end up in a warehouse where the mobsters are now going to beat up powerless Arnie. To which one of the women back in Olympus says, "You must help him. He's as helpless as a large, muscular baby without his powers." Look at him. He's got nothing going for him now. He's like a kitten. On roids. So,
I mean, there's a lot of mobsters. There's like 30 of them.
Yeah, and 2 fucking dudes show up for a bit in order to help fight on Hercules' side. Then
Atlas
they go
and
away.
Samson.
Yeah, Atlas and Samson.
Great.
Go on.
What great stories they have in literature. What great characters they are. Oh, off they go.
Off they go. One of them's on top of a cherry picker, throwing a man onto a floor. And
I look forward to the sequel.
And sort of cheering to space. And the other one runs around a bit. I don't believe that there were 30 mobsters. I feel that there was 2. And they just kept shooting them from different angles. Oh, look at them.
Kept running in circles around the camera.
Can't afford to have them all on screen at one time. How does that work? Shh.
So, yeah, how does it end? How does he beat them? He just does, right? He gets his powers
He gets his
back.
strength back.
Right, and he just beats them all up.
He beats them all up. And then they go to the top of the Empire State Building, and then he apologizes to Zeus.
Well, exactly. The elderly stereotype starts talking about New York, prompting Hercules to say, "I'm sorry! You did know what was best after all. I hate it here. I hate this old man. Please, for the love of God, I'll do whatever you say from now on and forever."
And then Pretzi's alone.
Also,
what was that, Herc?
Hoik.
Nothing.
Hoik. Hoik.
Hoik.
Also, don't be a dick. Say goodbye to your friend. He's right there.
Well, he's not going to say goodbye to his friend, but a complete fucking stranger will, because he gets on the radio. Without a single word to his girlfriend, Hercules is gone. But, luckily, a complete stranger messages the stereotype on his radio to say that he'll always be in his heart.
It's sure going to be lonesome for me again.
Anytime you wish me to be with you, all you need to do is think of me. And there I shall be, in your mind and in your heart. For as long as you want me to be, as long as you need me.
I love that that's the one bit of dialogue they didn't dub over, because that's the dubbed over voice.
Yeah, it is. So they didn't have Arnie's voice for that. Well, we should point out, there are some versions of this movie out there in which Arnold Schwarzenegger is completely dubbed by some dude.
Mm.
And it's glorious, but it's not as hilarious.
Pretzi goes off forever with the delusion that Arnie was speaking to him through a radio. He dies alone and unloved.
Aww.
And insane. But Hercules is good. He's good. He lives forever.
Yeah, he's fine. He does it again a bunch more times. Oh, and the final bit of the movie is that Zeus hears about all the action that Arnie's had with old Jewish men and decides, I'm going to get me some of that. And he jumps down to earth as well.
Yeah.
And terrifies 20 people on a plane.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, what a movie. So, all right, let's go to Sean first. What did you make of this? Have you seen it before?
No, I've never seen it. The only reason that I brought this to you is because Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about it in his book, and I was like, I should probably give that a crack sometime.
And did it live up to expectations?
Oh my god, I think this is worse than when I brought Surf Ninjas 2.
I think so.
Yeah, I prefer Surf Ninjas.
I feel like you've matched Phil's pass-through. You know, I think you had a lot to step up to, and for not necessarily Arnie versus Neil Breen, but the film itself is an enigma of insanity.
It really is unknowable. It feels like part of a genre that nobody remembers anymore.
Wanted.
Nobody wants to or tries to remember anymore. Lost history, and so it's just the conventions of it are unknown.
It's crazily edited. It's like they got to the end of the film and realized they hadn't set up about 10 different things and went, fuck it, well, I'm sure we've got enough.
Yeah.
Well, apparently there was a chain of Hercules movies made in the late 60s, of which this is apparently a part. I don't know if they're all meant to be sort of... I think back then you could sell a movie on the novelty of a fish out of water story. Of, what if this guy was here?
Yeah.
What if Elvis Costello was in space?
Oh, fuck. Yeah. I also feel like this movie realized at the end of it that it should have been played as a comedy, and then they cut a lot and reshot some bits, or just cut scenes halfway through to make it feel more like a comedy, because that was all it was good for. That's the only way I can understand the making of this movie. because it's too much of a balance between unintentional and intentional comedy.
Yeah. Well, look, let me say this for it. In spite of how bafflingly bad the film is and sort of crazily unfunny and just very poorly acted almost all throughout the cast, there's little hints of Arnie. He's a very interesting presence. He's quite charming, even when he's got to play a dick who's incomprehensible and barely acts. There's something, maybe it's that big goofy gap in his teeth or something, or his haircut, or just something that just makes you think, I want this guy to win somehow. I want him to win this situation.
That would make me feel good. He's just it just makes him look so petulant and insolent in the movie. And so when he delivers everything in that shitty, flat way, it's compelling. And I've got to say, Paul, and Sean, hello, sorry.
Hello.
I really love this film. It's insanely good. I would argue a case for this being in my top 10 of OGT movies, because
that's a bold statement.
Birdemic was better made than this. It is so ineptly put together.
Yeah, it didn't make me laugh as much as most of the movies in our top 10 OGT episodes. I
laughed so much.
Oh my god.
It really tickled me all the way through. It buoyed me for the full 15 minutes that it was on.
I mean, I'm glad I could be of assistance for you, but I don't know, man. I think of the alternate title for this film, which was Hercules Goes Bananas. And I feel like that's the film they should have steered into. Hercules Goes Bananas.
Right, yeah. Because there's some such fascinating camp elements here. Nigel Havers, fucking weird Pluto guy. I keep calling Nigel Havers. He was such a weird little dude.
I enjoyed him very much.
Yeah. And just, I don't know. It's a very interesting film. At once travelogue about New York, but also showcase vehicle for Mr. Universe. And also fish out of water story and Greek god. It's the fact that it has now aged 50 years adds a whole other element of interest in it. It's like an insight into it's like an insight into sort of camp 60s movies. There's a lot going on. I'll say that for it.
Surely it's meant to be a comedy because they've got Arnie Strang in it, and he's their kind of comedic side character pull for the film. He's their gravitas, their comedic gravitas. But it's something that it would take Ivan Reitman, I forget how to pronounce his name, like a couple of decades before they figure out that Arnold's really fucking good in comedies. You just need the right director and the right script to be able to pull it out. It's like it took fucking Kindergarten Cop and Junior to pull it out, but at this point they just don't know. They don't quite know the charisma that he has at this point.
Well, it baffles me that they thought it was a good idea to dub him. That they heard him deliver those lines and thought, oh no, this isn't good for our comedy movie. We'll have him dubbed by someone boring.
And Arnold's such a self-aware dude. Like his whole career was kind of like... I saw a very interesting thing, which was basically what Arnold brought to the table that other action stars did was that he was more self-aware than Bruce Willis and could handle a one-liner better than Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, there's an element of ridiculousness. I watched the first 5 minutes of Commando the other day, then stopped because I suddenly realized my DVD of Commando is censored. So I had to stop and buy a unrated Blu-ray, and I will resume shortly. But in those first few minutes, just the campness of that movie. I remember being irritated by some of the comedic relief moments when I was a kid. I wanted it to be a straight action movie. But no, Arnie's way better when he's in sort of knowing wink-wink kind of action films. I think that really befits him in a way that, like you say, maybe it didn't fit other action movie stars of the time. I was just going to say one of the big weaknesses of JCVD's career was how earnest a lot of it was, I think.
I do feel like the film properly lent into the Hercules Goes Bananas, and I think calling it that would have drawn attention to it too much. I appreciated the straight... What I got from Hercules in New York, I thought, this is going to be like Masters of the Universe, but drier somehow.
Older.
And no, it wasn't. It was the opposite of that. It was better than Masters of the Universe in every way. And I think that having that thin film, that veneer of... no, this is a proper film. Before going into it and going, I tricked you. Is wonderful because I did spend most of it confused. And you know, sometimes when you go out and you meet somebody and they're awful, and you're sort of on the back foot the whole time, and you're pretty sure they're awful, but you can't tell because of just how overwhelming their presence was. That was this film. Oh, that must just be me then when we hang out. They do always say that. If everyone else is the arsehole, chances are.
If everyone else is the inexplicable sort of presence that you don't know whether or not to be afraid of, and it's probably you.
Which is fine. I mean, I know that now, and that's great. But so this film's me, which explains why I like it.
Oh shit, it is. It's a lot like you. What with its burly incomprehensibility. No, it was a fun film. You've made me want to go back and watch it again somehow because I feel like I've missed it.
I feel like you should go back and watch the dubbed version just to see how that changes your experience.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
It's landed super well with one of us, with mixed results with the other two. I thought it was fine. It is just it's good. How about we talk about some of the stuff that really stood out to us then? See if we can get that then. Let's talk about quick firing. Quickfire.
I can't remember what the scene was before, but it's something we touched on where there was some sort of dialogue going on. In fact, I'm pretty sure that it's during the car chase near the end, or the chariot chase, as it were, and it cuts up to Zeus. And they're around the globe, and Zeus is lamenting and kind of going, "Oh no, he's making things worse." Da da da. And then we immediately smash cut with no establishing to Hercules just fucking whipping the shit out of people in the car. And it was one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments in the entire film because I was not ready for it.
There's one later where someone's saying, "Save him, Zeus, he's your son." There's 5 seconds of silence, and then as Zeus goes, and puts a hand to his mouth, and then it cuts hard to Zorba the Greek and Atlas and Samson beating up the mafia.
Yes.
And
that's good cutting.
Oh, fuck, it was amazing.
Well, I've got to say, my first good thing came very early on. It was the Trimark logo. The production logo, it felt like a really fucking 80s production logo, which is surprising for a 1969 movie, but yeah, it got me into a mood.
Beautiful, man.
The next one it's actually in the same scene, is that they established that the chariot man and the sauerkraut man were in the chase, but then just promptly forgot about them for 10 minutes until the chase is entirely over. And then they dedicate a good 30 seconds to the gag of chariot man comes out, is wondering where his chariot is, and he's holding the hot dog out. Then they just smash in that extreme close-up to show the sauerkraut man carefully placing the condiment onto the hot dog. And they dedicate a fair amount of time to that.
Yep. That moment was the sauerkraut on the hot dog of that scene.
Pure cinema, $1 million movie.
I liked Hera saying to the other women, who are they're just a bunch of women who follow Zeus about. And she just says to them,
"Get up, you stupid creatures."
That's good. I like that.
Greeks. You know, in the first Thor movie, how they kind of failed to do the fish out of water thing successfully, with the exception of the delicious "I demand another," and he smashes the...
Yes, there were some good moments. A couple.
Every time, every line that's like, "How dare you touch Hercules," when somebody's asked him a question that has nothing to do with that.
"You're addressing the captain of the ship. Now you say so to me."
"I'm Hercules."
Or, says, "You're on this ship. I am Hercules." Or when he's going on that date and he sees there's a Hercules movie. Very referential. It's very good, actually, this film. And it's like Tarantino. And he it's just an excuse for him to take off his top and start flexing, because this guy is this imitator and he's being pulled away shouting insolence. It does the fish out of water thing very well.
Yes, it does it. It does it. Yes, I remember that scene where she's just awkwardly smushing a shirt onto him, and it's like, oh no, we must go just vamping as she has to lead him off, and it's almost like Arnie was not going to participate. It's like, no, I don't see why my character would go with her. I would stay. I would stay here. Okay, well, what am I supposed to literally manhandle him out of this scene?
You can try,
You may try,
but I am Hercules.
Yeah, some of those lines were glorious. Though I loved. What are you doing out here? Swimming.
Yeah,
I mean, first one, just because we were on the scene of Hercules taking his top off, is I love her reaction, which is like very much it takes her a second. She's like, okay, well, oh god, oh god, cover up, please. And she's both equal parts horrified and just very quite horny, and she's
That's right. Yes, she's doing it both. Just sort of, oh my, we've got to get you out of here.
C-3PO.
I gotta say,
goodness gracious,
she is
sir.
one of my favorite things of this film. I actually really enjoy her. And I think she's constantly searching for chemistry with Hercules. She never finds it, but she's constantly searching for it. And I actually love her little bits of characterization and kind of her little lovely moments to at least thread in some kind of character progression.
I loved how completely unfazed pipe-smoking man was the whole fucking movie. Just nothing, none of this shit, including him actually being a god, which I think they do find out and establish at some stage. None of it's going to ruin his weekend or his Sunday morning with his
No,
newspaper.
I'm interested. I'm interested in him. What do you mean?
Greek god, huh?
At the beginning, when Arnie is sent down to Earth, the scene ends with, if I'd have known how petulant he'd be, I'd have thought twice when I met his mother on vacation. What is that for a Zeus line?
Vacation is wonderful. In his weekend in Bristol.
In Ayia Napa.
Sean, empty your load. Anything you got left?
The final thing I'll say is just the very first time Arnold smiles in the entire film is just when he mentions, where are we going? They say, New York. And there's just Cheshire Cat grin that kind of spreads across his face. And I was like, he's actually excited. He's genuinely excited to go to New York. I love it.
Oh, that's so cute. Mine are mostly quotes.
No man is superior to Hercules. They profited by my instruction.
Hey, mister, watch your talk.
I can hear my dog. I cannot watch it.
No, that's good.
And finally, I'll just say Pluto, played by Nigel Havers. It's not. Just a shot of him in the underground as the lights come on with his little hat and cane. Yeah, really, that was really cool. It was like magic.
I enjoyed his character. It's very off-kilter.
Yeah.
When the mob is telling him not to lose the fight because they've put a lot of money on this. And says, do you understand? And he goes,
I understand. It is not pleasant to lose money once one becomes accustomed to its use.
Yeah.
Yes, that did say that to me. Oh, mental.
Great.
You fucking mental.
You bloody guys.
You wanker.
Bollocks. Brolly. Any others?
Brolly bollocks over here.
Brolly bollocks.
I'm Brolly bollocks.
Alright, how about the one better thing?
One better thing.
I would definitely recommend that people see this. The dubbed, no, not the dubbed version, the original. Subs, not dubs. It's a masterpiece in shoddy filmmaking, and it's one of those real gems I think that pops up every few years or so.
Once in a lifetime.
Seen to be believed.
Marvelous. Sean?
Go watch The Bourne Identity. They're identical films for the first 15 minutes, and I feel like you'll be pleasantly surprised where they deviate from there. And if you haven't seen The Bourne Identity, it's the greatest action film from the new millennium.
Well, that's very good. Yeah.
Fight me.
Ooh, I will.
Unrelated to the what you just said.
Yeah, or just tussle with me.
I'm learning Pakishi Tertia. So, anyone wants to have a fight, come give it a go. Brilliant. My one better thing is weird. It's, they're a weird mob. It's a Powell and Pressburger film about a Italian man who goes to Australia. And so it's a fish out of water in that sense.
Ooh.
And it's about sort of local customs, and it's an Italian man, but it's very much written and directed by this British powerhouse that is Powell and Pressburger, and a very weird late film for them. You know, these are the guys who did The Red Shoes and fucking The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp and A Matter of Life and Death.
Jesus.
Here they are making an odd sort of Aussie comedy, but it's very cute, it's very sweet, it's of the same era, slightly before Hercules in New York, and I think it's just fun. It's just kind of a cute little look at Australia from a very imperial British point of view.
Oh.
The movie starts with the camera upside down. It's like, here's how Australians view the world, and then it flips the camera the right way up.
And it's the correct way to view Australia. So all you Brits, you always get it right. We're sorry.
Oh, fuck!
It all makes sense now.
I've been here through 2 years. No one told me.
You now know the secret.
Wear my glasses the right way up.
The one better thing. Great, Paul. How can people hear about us?
Thanks for listening to One Good Thing. You can do so Twitter, Facebook at ogtpod. You can send us an email at gmail@ogtpod@gmail.com. We're now on Spotify as well, so you can get your earphones and get him in your ears on your phone. Yeah, definitely. We also have a Patreon. Thanks so much to everybody who's already signed up and become a patron. You're getting exclusive content. Currently, it is, as Aussie Nerd pointed out, it's just 50 Shades fan fiction at this point, but that's going to change. Fuck, it's going to change.
You want it to.
I reckon.
Otherwise, double down on it. Make it even more so.
Yeah, double down on it. Sexy sex from here on in, from the pools. Sean's a patron. What do you think? How's it been so far, Sean? What's the experience been?
Goddamn right I am. I've listened to Rise of Skywalker, tried to call Paul out in the first 10 seconds. I was slammed down by Goodman. So I failed in that regard, but you know what? I'm going to continue listening to Patreon to find ways to knock Paul down a peg. So if nothing else, try your luck at that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Have a go. It's like the fairground rides. It's completely rigged in our favour. But we make you feel like you can win.
Yeah. Now, I will edit this so that this goes first, so that I don't seem like an absolute dick, because I forgot to do this. But Sean, how can people find out about Baby Beard?
I figured you put me last because mine's more important. I was happy to roll with it.
Of course, yeah. Of course, yeah. Save the best for last. Get past all that weird OG shit.
OG shit. If you would like to find us, you can search Baby Beard Media on most things like the podcast app or on Twitter and Facebook. We're on all the social medias. It's where you can find our podcast, which is number 1, Shut Up and Take My Podcast, which is an Australian Futurama podcast where we pit episode against episode in a bloody glorious gauntlet battle for your entertainment. And we're on the home stretch with about 8 episodes to go before we start the actual gauntlet. And the other podcast we are doing is Roll to Cast, which is a tabletop role-playing podcast with Paul Goodman doing original music. The first season, which we just completed, was Cyberpunk 2020, and we have just started production on season 2, which will be a season of Vampire the Masquerade, which also has Paul Goodman doing music for. It's a rollicking, fun time, and we are all good at what we do, so you should be good at listening to what we do.
I think it was very interesting for Goodman to do the entirety of the Vampire the Masquerade one using just the bouzouki, but I think it really... really fits the whole situation.
I don't think anyone will notice.
We tried to stop him. We tried to stop him.
You already paid me though, so
yeah, that was your first mistake.
Shit.
The second one was giving me a bouzouki. Oh god, I'm Paul Bouzouki.
I'm Paul Zuki.
I'm Sean Fuck.
Nice.
Nice.
Sean Fuxy.
Sean Fuxy.
Sean Fuxy. Oh Christ. And remember, the one good thing about Hercules in New York.
What? I'm Hercules.
Is Hercules, of course.